occasionally, but the idea is just to cook out the organic matter. All this egg lining stuff that's making it stick together, all this goop that's sticking it together, we want to cook that out, and a low constant heat will just kind of cook that out, and then we'll be left with just the calcium that will be kind of slightly charred but not burnt, and that will also help to activate the calcium in there. So half hour later, we'll see you. Alright, so as it's cooking, you can see some of them are starting to get brown. That's essentially what I'm trying to do to all of these eggs. Just slightly brown them like that. Not cook them, not burn them, but brown them. So I gotta stir this again. It's been about, I don't know, 3-5 minutes, something like that. So time to stir. Yeah, essentially I'm trying to burn out all that organic matter in here. Not burn it out, but just cook it off. Turn it down to a really low heat now. But it's starting to brown up and cook well. Like a really low heat just to cook it out ever so slightly. You just want the pan to be warm, not hot. Not cooking, just heating and drying and slightly cooking. These are small particulates, so browns really well. The smaller the particle size, kind of the better, as long as it's not super dust. This isn't really turning to dust, it's just turning to fine eggshells. But the more things you have, the more surface area, the more the vinegar is going to react throughout this. So in this cook-off process, we're kind of prepping it for the vinegar to break down all that calcium and off-gas CO2 and bind that into a water-soluble form of calcium that then is immediately available to the plants. Whereas if we just scattered this eggshell out there right now, the microbes would have to do that and make their own vinegars. And it's not nearly as concentrated or as potent as we're able to do in this mimicry system. I was saying this takes about 45 minutes, and one of the reasons it takes so long is that the pan is just hot to the touch. Like I can put my hand on it just for a second, and it's not burning me. I'm not like ow, but it's definitely warm, and so it's that warm thing that you're going for versus like a hot type of cook. I'm just putting it like on a warming plate here. And maybe I could do it by electricity and have it more sustainable. But right now this gas is going to cook out all these really nicely, finely crushed shells now. I was able to crush them, that now that that yolky stuff is out of there and it's not sticky anymore, I was able to crush it all and then let it cook like this for another half hour now. And I'll stir it maybe 1 or 2 more times to get it all nice in there. But basically just going to let it cook out on this warm to the touch pan. That I cook the eggshells, and I said yes, because what's happening is you're cooking off the organic matter, but you're also transforming this eggshell into calcium carbonate. And once you make calcium carbonate, that enables us in our next step, when we mix it with the vinegar, for it to easily cleave that CO2 carbonate part of the thing off and just leave the calcium behind, which then that becomes the easily absorbable water-soluble calcium. And it's calcium carbonate otherwise is non-water soluble. And so cooking it creates calcium carbonate, non-soluble, then the vinegar makes it so it's soluble. And so yes, it's important you cook it to make it calcium carbonate first. And that's what enables the second step to make it water soluble.
Alright.
Extreme microbe cavity. Alright, so if you get a close look here, you'll see that most of the eggshells are browned out and they've been toasted. Some got a little overcooked like this one here, but most of them are pretty well browned out. And so we've effectively managed to get most of the organic matter cooked out of this. And if you feel the eggshells, it's more dramatic if you do this with a whole eggshell, but it's significantly lighter than it would have been had it not been cooked out. And that's some of the moisture that was cooked out of here as well is also left. So, a superior product here, and now we're ready to take this, remove it from the heat, and put it into our jar. Eggs all cooked in here. We got rice wine vinegar. You can also do this with banana vinegar. It's easier to make at home. This is a brand new bottle of this stuff. Should definitely be making our own. And as I add this in, you'll see it immediately begin to bubble. And I did this in a big gallon container because if you do it in a smaller container, it'll bubble over the top like an erupting volcano. And so we don't want that to happen here, so we have a big jar. And the ideal ratio here is 10 parts, or 1 part of the eggshells being weighed to 10 parts of this volume by so weight to volume, 1 part eggs to 10 parts vinegar is the ideal ratio for this. But if you miss the ratio, you can add more vinegar later. It's not a big deal to get it all right at first. But if you look in there, especially as I stir it around, you'll see it's just really should be vigorous bubbling coming out of there. And those bubbles are CO2 releasing off the calcium carbonate and freeing the calcium up to now become water soluble. So all this air, we could put a little thing up here and get a bunch of CO2 off this if we wanted to. But that's the reaction that's happening there.
Where's that rice paper? Right there.
And this is going to be used how?
This material here, the water soluble part, is really important during the reproductive stage of the plant.
Okay.
It helps to transfer all the nutrients the plant's acquired from the sun over its growing cycle and transport those and aggregate them into the plants, or into the fruits.
Uh-huh.
So when
So this is fruit?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it helps to harden. It also helps to harden things off, because the calcium, just like our bones, kind of give us structure. When we apply that to the plant, it also helps it maintain structure.
Maintain like the cell walls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our soils out here are notoriously lacking in calcium, so people tend to lime their soils. But in this case, we're using the microbes in the soils and just trying to feed calcium directly to the plant. Little shortcut the thing there, and then eventually the microbes will build up more calcium in the soil via their just their shells and things. Before we make LAB, we're going to finish pouring our calcium solution here. So, let me figure out a way. So, you'll see that our water-soluble calcium is no longer bubbling. It looks like that we could add way more vinegar to this solution though, because it's still not, but there's still a lot of eggshells. So I'm going to pour it off through this nice little filter here.
Oh my god. Oh, it tastes so weird.
That's calcium for you, baby.
Oh, I want to try it. Tastes like wine.
Oh, it makes me so thirsty.
Let's have some miso soup. Miso, chicken miso.
Alright then, so here's the other one. This was given to me by Kiahi.
Oh.
Try this one. I'll give it a shot first. Okay, man. No, but oh, my teeth are getting stronger. I feel it.
Oh, my mouth feels so weird.
Oh, that's water soluble calcium.